What is going on? I just wanted to make a quick video here now that the Giants season mercifully has ended. I did not make a video last week because that was some of the worst football. I don't even know what we were watching. And even though the Giants won, you could argue, people were arguing that the Raiders even care. A couple of those interceptions, two interceptions looked like they threw it right at the Giants. So I don't want to make a video because it felt like it wasn't even a real game. And that's kind of how this game felt. It looked like the Cowboys maybe came out to kind of play in the beginning. And then after a couple plays by the Giants, they were like, you know what, just pull Prescott, put the backup in. We don't need him getting injured, and who cares if we lose? Um, so I don't know if either of these two games are even real. They're basically like exhibition games. They weren't even like real. They're like preseason games. So didn't really want to make too much commentary on it because again, in both cases, in both games, any good plays the Giants made, it's like, well, the good plays the Giants made on offense is because the Raiders aren't good and the Cowboys defense isn't good. And any plays the Giants made on defense, it's like, well, were the teams really even trying? So I do want to touch on a few things. One being the tanking, should the Giants have tanked and all that, and the other one being Joe Shane will now be retained. And I'll get to that in a little bit. So, as far as the Giants tanking, here's my thought on it. I always think, not to quote Herman Edwards, but you play to win the game, right? And I always go back to Coughlin in that Patriots game where the Patriots had nothing to play for, and we really didn't have anything to play for. I think we had both made the playoffs, but the Patriots were playing all their starters, and Coughlin decided to play all of the Giant starters because he said, listen, I can't go out there and tell my guys to lose a game. We're going to go out there and we're trying to win a game. That's why you play football. So, and it ended up working. They won the Super Bowl. Now, if they didn't win the Super Bowl, or if guys, if Eli Manning got injured in that game, who knows what would have happened, but it worked out. So it's hard to tell professional players to just lose, go out there and lose. Now, teams might make decisions like putting in the worst of the set of quarterbacks or pulling, starters, but you can't just have a guy go out there and not play his hardest. Also, that's a recipe to get injured. So, but here's what I think. Do I think it's a culture builder and a momentum generator for next year? No, I don't. I don't think it's gonna. I don't think overall. I don't think the momentum carries into next year, right? Because I don't think anybody on the team is really gonna look at a 4-win season and go, "Oh, we definitely," And two of the wins came against teams that debatably might have not even been trying. You're not gonna look at that as a player next year and go, "Oh, well, we're clearly ready to compete." So I don't know. I'm not in the camp of it generates momentum for next year, except in one case, and that is for Jackson Dart. Okay? And to be fair, he's the only one who matters, right? Because, you have some other players like Bobby Okereke is not going to go into next year like, hey, the last 2 games of the season last year, I got an interception in each game, so I'm really good now. No. But for Jackson Dart, for the quarterback, and specifically for a rookie quarterback, to get those 2 wins because now he's stacked 2 wins and it's going to build his confidence up where he goes, hey, I can win consistently in this league. I can win back-to-back games. That will, it's not going to carry over in terms of like, oh, now all of a sudden he's going to be this baller next year. But what it will carry over is it's that little bit of spark that he saw progression, right? Because in the beginning of the year, he won a game, then lost a game, then won a game, then lost a game. Now, at the end of the season, he won 2 games in a row. So now he can take that into the offseason and really apply himself. Not that he wasn't, but even more motivation to apply himself and go, look what I can do. I mean, look what I did at the end of the season. And if I just keep on that path, I could probably stack 3 wins, 4 wins, on top of thinking, hey, there were a lot of games that we won that we didn't win, right? The Cowboys game in week 2, the Broncos game, the Bears game. I mean, there's lots of games that we could have won that we didn't. And so that could carry over for him, not the play, not like he's going to come out next year and all of a sudden, hey, remember I won those 2 games at the end of 2025? Well, now, no, but for the studying, right? He's seeing it pay off. He's learning, hey, look at how much I've progressed as a rookie. Look at these things I did towards the end of the season and look at how it translated on the field. Let's continue down that path. And if that can happen, that can really push the team forward. As far as everyone else on the team, no, it doesn't really matter if Bobby Okereke got, 2 interceptions in the last 2 games, or Javon Holland, or whoever, or even if Slayton caught that 72-yard touchdown and didn't get called back, that stuff doesn't really carry over. But for the quarterback, specifically a rookie quarterback who's finishing his first year, that can at least carry over into the offseason where he will put in that extra effort. And the other thing is, yes, I understand. We wanted the first pick. We could have traded away for a haul of picks. But the problem is, whether it's Joe Schoen or any other GM, picks are unknown. They could be busts. They could be great. They could be average. You don't know. And I understand, when you want more shots at more bites at the apple than not. Yes, but it didn't work out that way. And in the past, some things have worked out our way. Regarding the draft. Like, had we lost games last year, we would have had Cam Ward instead of Jackson Dart. And I actually wanted Cam Ward, but now, after all said and done, I like Jackson Dart better. So it could work out in the end. Now, getting to Joe Schoen. He's going to be retained, and people are annoyed. And I can understand that. And I'm not in favor of keeping him or firing him. It's whatever. I think the biggest reason, if I had to put on why people are annoyed, is because it's like the insanity thing. We're doing the same thing again, and we're going to expect to win more games next year. And also, we're going to bring in a new coach. Can he handle that? What if he's a lame duck GM? Is a coach going to want to come here and play for a lame duck GM? Here's the thing. I think, and this is probably how Joe Schoen sold it to the ownership, I think a lot of the Giants' struggles have come from coaching, because we have proven we can hang with some of the best teams in the league. What we haven't proven is that we know how to finish and close out games, and that is on coaching, whether it's specifically coaching players on how to not make mistakes at the end of games and how to go over the little details that help you win, or it's actual play calls and game planning, right? Where they know how to make the right calls at the right time to close the game out, proper use of timeouts and managing the clock and all these other things that have been a problem. Now, has Joe Schoen had his share of issues? Yes. He completely messed up the kicker situation. You could argue that he completely messed up the quarterback situation last year and then overcompensated for it this year. He's messed up the cornerback situation. But my 2 points on this, no GM is 100%. No GM is going to hit on every draft pick and every free agent. And also, even the best GMs today were not the best GMs in their first few years in the NFL. And that's what Joe Schoen is in. He's still, in theory, in his infancy as a GM. It's not somebody like Dave Gettleman, the previous GM. I mean, by the time he came here, he'd been, a GM for 15 years, 10 years? I mean, by then, you should kind of know your process. But for Joe Schoen, this was his 4th year, right? So he's going into his 5th year, his last year on the contract next year. So he's still in his infancy regarding being a GM. And as far as his picks go too, a lot of the picks he's made have been unanimously the right pick at the time, right? He picked Evan Neal, which he gets castrated for. That was a good pick. Everybody liked that pick. We needed a lineman. That was regarded one of the better linemen in the draft. We liked it. Kayvon Thibodeaux, same thing. Whose fault is it that these guys didn't turn out to be the superstars that everybody thought they were going to be? Is it the player themselves? Is it the coaching? What is it? If it is the player themselves, but you can't blame Schoen for that. He picked who everyone unanimously thought was the right person. Now, he has made some mistakes. He traded up to get Deonte Banks, which was for Wink Martindale. That hasn't worked out, although he does look like he's a really good kick returner. But, I mean, wasting a first round pick on a kick return, not great. But he's had some other things. He got Wan'Dale Robinson. That was a good pick. Drew Phillips could be solid, if he gets just that little bit of tweaking with coaching, I think he could be solid. We picked up Adebo and Holland, who kind of picked it up in the second half of the year, and I think if they come back with some better coaching, that could be good. So Okereke, people get on, Bobby Okereke. Since Bobby Okereke, I think he made the Pro Bowl this year. He led the team in tackles. He had 2 interceptions at the end of the year. I mean, what more do you want? Yes, we're thin at linebacker. Yes, we're thin at cornerback. And yeah, now we're probably going to lose 2 offensive linemen. We're going to have to rework that. But, no GM hits 100%. And to be honest, I feel like before the year 2000, nobody even knew who GMs were. It was the coach and the quarterback. That's the big players on the team. And, the rest of the players kind of fall in line. Nobody was talking about GMs and all this. That's a new thing from 2000 and on. At least for my generation. Maybe older generations paid attention to that stuff. But all of a sudden now it's the GM. But in my opinion, I think it is a synergy between the GM and the coach. But look at the Eagles. It seems like every free agent they get or every draft pick they get is great, right? Now, first of all, I don't follow the Eagles as a fan, obviously. I'm sure there's a lot of bad picks and free agent signings that the Eagles have in there. But we just don't see it as Giants fans because we're not paying that close attention to the Eagles. However, even if everything kind of worked out, it's oh my God, the GM, every time he's picking a player or getting a free agent, they work out. Like Cooper DeJean, that's the one that comes to mind, who was a 5th round pick or something, 4th round pick for the Eagles, all of a sudden becomes one of the best cornerbacks. But it's not, part of it, yes, is the GM knowing how to make the right pick at the right time, but I can guarantee if Cooper DeJean was on the Giants, he would be crappy and then injured, right? It's because the coaching staff, the defensive coordinator, knows how to put him in positions to succeed, on top of the fact that they have other talented players on the defense that can all work together. The Giants do have talent on their defense, but it doesn't seem to work together. And on top of that, their little coaching of the details doesn't seem to be there. So hopefully a new head coach with a new defensive coordinator can fix that. And even with all those problems, the Giants were still in position to win games. Again, this might be a very, very small consolation. But if the Giants just played one more minute of good football, 30 seconds in the Cowboy game and 30 seconds in the Broncos game, we'd have at least 2 more wins and we'd be 6-11, right? Now that's not great. But to have one of the toughest schedules and playing a rookie quarterback, going 6-11, that's decent. So I do think there's talent on this team. I think that it's not working together and it's not being coached with the little details. That's where I think the biggest problems are. Now, I'm not saying that Shane couldn't be replaced with another GM. He could be, but who are you going to get? You know who you're going to get? Another Joe Shane. You're either going to get another assistant GM that's trying to become a GM, so he's unproven, or you're going to get some other team's GM that they didn't want anymore. So they went, get rid of this guy, and then we're going to get him. So in either of those scenarios, do we think they're going to be better than Joe Shane? Maybe, but maybe not. So, and again, Joe Shane is still in his infancy. It's not like he's a 12-year veteran GM, and now it's come on, you still don't know how to pick the right players. So I'm not saying we couldn't get an upgrade at GM. We could, but it's hard to find, and I don't think the GM is the biggest problem. I think there's enough talent on the team, and if he gets the right coach, that's going to be the big determiner, what kind of coach he gets now. And does that coach work with Joe Shane to bring in the right talent that they want in the draft and free agency? And will that finally work together, along with coaching the details and the small things and everything, good game planning, to get us some wins? Because even with everything that went wrong with this season in terms of, you had to play a rookie quarterback, you had a bad defensive coordinator, head coach is questionable, all these things, injuries, we still managed to be in almost every game until right around the Broncos game when I think that took the wind out of the sails of the team, and then we lost to the Bears and all that. But we were still in a lot of these games, maybe like one or two where it was like, yeah, they're done. But most of the games we were in it, and they just didn't know how to finish. So I don't think that's completely on the GM or on the GM at all. So again, I'm not making an argument to keep Shane or to fire him. I wouldn't care either way. What I'm trying to figure out is why this pitchfork mentality. Get rid of Joe Shane when there has been proven points where we have talent that can compete. And that this is, I mean, I feel like Dable didn't even know how to use timeouts correctly, right? And you can't put on, well, look, it switched to Kafka and they were just as bad. I mean, but Kafka is an interim head coach. He had no time to prepare anything, nor is he proven as a head coach. So there's evidence that if you get a coach who has experience, who has done this before, that they can mold the team and get them going in the right direction. That's all. But like I said, if I woke up today and they said they fired Joe Shane, they're going to look for a GM, I'd be okay with that too. My issue is just the aggressiveness at which everybody wants Joe Shane fired, where it should be more apathy, right? It should be more like, they kept him, they fired him. It doesn't matter. What matters is who we getting as a coach and how is Jackson Dart going to progress. That is really going to determine the future of the team more than the GM or the defensive coordinator or anything like that. So we'll see what happens. It's going to be an interesting off season. I may do some videos here and there for the off season if something interesting happens. But other than that, let's buckle in for the playoffs, I guess.